The old Victorian house stood at the edge of town, its once grand facade now faded and worn. Ivy clung to the walls, as if trying to reclaim what time had stolen. Inside, the air smelled stale, the lights dusty and the floorboards creaked underfoot. Evelyn had inherited the house from her late grandmother. She moved in with her husband, Henry, and their 2 children, Lila and Sam. At first, they reveled in the charm of the place, the antique furniture, the stained glass windows, the secrets hidden in the attic. But soon, strange things began to happen. Evelyn would wake in the dead of night, her heart racing, convinced she heard whispers in the walls. The mirrors seemed to distort her reflection, her eyes too wide, her smile too sharp. She blamed it on stress, on lack of sleep, but the house had other plans. One evening, Evelyn stood in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. The knife slipped, slicing her finger. Blood dripped onto the wooden floor, and she stared at it, mesmerized. The whispers grew louder, urging her to do something unthinkable.
Kill them.
The thought echoed in her mind, and she dropped the knife, horrified. But the house wouldn't let go. It whispered and promised relief and release from the torment. Evelyn tried to resist. She sought therapy, medication, anything to silence the voices. But the mirrors mocked her, showing her fractured self, the woman she used to be, the mother she no longer recognized. Her family watched her with concern, their eyes filled with fear. One stormy night, as rain lashed against the windows, Evelyn stood over Henry's sleeping form. The knife glinted in her hand, its blade hungry. She hesitated, torn between love and madness. But the house whispered, urging her forward.
Do it.
She raised the knife, tears streaming down her face. Then Lila appeared in the doorway, her small frame silhouetted against the lightning. Her eyes widened as she saw her mother, the blade poised to strike.
Mommy?
Lila's voice trembled.
What are you doing?
Evelyn collapsed to the floor, her mind fractured further, reality slipping through her fingers like sand. She clung to Lila, desperate for an anchor. Henry woke moments later, his face pale.
What's going on?
Evelyn looked at her children, their innocence, their vulnerability. The house seethed, angry at her weakness. It wanted blood and demanded sacrifice.
We need to leave now.
She felt a sudden chill, as if the house had sensed her intention to leave. She heard a loud thud, and the lights flickered and went out. She screamed, dropping the knife. She grabbed Lila and Sam and ran to the nearest window. Henry and Evelyn tried to break it, but it was too strong. The glass didn't even crack. She looked around, searching for another way out, but the house had locked them in. The doors were jammed, the windows were sealed, the phone was dead. They were trapped. She heard the whispers again, louder and angrier than before. They taunted her, threatened her, cursed her. They told her she had made a grave mistake. She had defied the house. She had betrayed its trust. She had to pay. She felt something cold and sharp pierce her back. She gasped, feeling the blood soak her clothes. She turned and saw Henry, his eyes blank and his mouth twisted. He had a pair of scissors in his hand, stained with her blood. He had stabbed her. He smiled, a sickly grin. He spoke, his voice not his own.
You can't leave me. You belong to me. All of you.
He raised the scissors again, ready to strike. Evelyn tried to push him away, but he was too strong. He stabbed her again. No longer moving, Henry dropped her body to the floor and turned to Lila and Sam. They cowered in the corner, terrified and helpless. He walked towards them, his scissors dripping with blood. He smiled, a twisted grin. He spoke, his voice cold and cruel.
Don't worry, my children. I'll make it quick.
He reached for them, and they screamed. The house laughed, a wicked sound that echoed in the walls.